Welcome to another episode of the Canyon Studios podcast. I am your host, Gianni, and I'm excited about this episode. I know I say that every single week, but I think I keep getting more excited each time I get the privilege of speaking with someone and having someone on the show. This week, we're going to learn all about branding and marketing and what the difference is in the two, because I have really an incredible marketer here that's been doing this for a while, so she knows her stuff. So stay tuned for today's guest as we jump into, I don't even know what episode this is, of the Canyon Studios podcast. What would Oprah do?
WWOD.
What would Oprah do? Or who else used to be? Or what would Howard Stern do? No, I like Oprah better.
Yeah.
Better than Howard Stern. He was kind of inappropriate.
A little more dignified.
Unless it's at nighttime.
Yeah. Different. That's a case of really knowing your audience.
Yeah. I used to. All right, guys. Listen, we are here back with another episode of the Canyon Studios podcast. And it's the portion where I get to introduce our lovely guest. It's hard to put my next guest into words, but if I had to think of something, it would be someone that is truly genuine and authentic, someone that knows their stuff in marketing, because people that know their stuff in marketing are few and far between, right? That really know their stuff. And so she's worked in so many different aspects of it, corporate. Now she has her own marketing company. And so I'm excited for y'all to hear from her today. Please welcome Miss Katie Berg.
Hi, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yes, I'm excited for you to be here. Let's see, when did we meet? 3-4 months ago?
Yeah, it feels like a lot longer.
Yeah.
It was like January.
Yeah, what month? Okay, so what month are we? Yeah, almost 6 months.
Yeah.
Yes, and we met at a business club, and we started a conversation and someone interjected very awkwardly, and asked me a very inappropriate question. They asked me how much did I charge for something, like in the middle of a business club. Yeah. And I remember that was how me and Katie bonded.
Yes.
Because you found me.
Oh yeah, I beelined it to you after one of the meetings. So I was like, her. I want to meet her.
So yeah, let's talk about you though.
Okay.
So if you were to compare your life journey to a movie, what movie would it be? Let's see if I know this movie.
Well, I love Bull Durham.
Okay.
I'm going way back.
Okay.
I love Bull Durham. I think it's hilarious.
Okay.
I also really like the mockumentary kind of movies. So like Best of Show.
Okay.
Waiting for like the Christopher Guest kind of things.
Okay.
Does.
Okay.
I like funny. I like really witty writing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you watch The Office?
I do, and I love it.
Okay, good. Whew.
I do, and I love it. I like Parks and Rec is hilarious to me.
Okay. Have you watched Abbott Elementary?
Yes, and I love it.
Second question.
Okay.
I feel like this is going to be harder than the first question. So, imagine you're meeting, I put 10-year-old self, but just say your younger self.
Younger self, yeah.
What advice or what would you want to say to your younger self?
I would say, this is one I've thought a lot about. So I would say don't lose track of the things that bring you joy. Mm-hmm. Right? So like find ways to continue doing those things in your future life as an adult.
Okay.
Right? Because I think it's really easy as an adult to get wrapped up in I have to be doing this. This is what makes money. Like, this is what's expected of me. And you can kind of just go through the motions.
Right.
Very easily. And lose track of like, you take a step back and you look back and you're like, where did that go?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you pinpoint to something specific that brings you joy?
Yeah,
that maybe you stop doing.
I like making things. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to say crafting because I hate the idea of being like a middle-aged woman who crafts.
Like scrapbooks.
Yeah, I'm not a scrapbooker, but I like to make things. I like to look at things and go, that's pretty. I bet I could make that. I want to figure out how to make that. Mm-hmm. So like When I was a kid, I used to like hole myself up in my bedroom with the highlights magazines, and they had like those little projects, and I would spend hours just making those projects, and I would make 5, 6, 7, 8 of the same thing, and then try to sell them.
Little entrepreneur.
Yeah. I used to watercolor paint as a kid. Tropical fish.
Watercolors. Do they still make watercolor? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's like things like that where like if I had kind of connected the dots maybe earlier in my career of, oh, you really liked doing these kinds of things. Like what was the intrinsic value you found in doing those things?
Yeah.
Then I might have been able to incorporate that into my career more early on instead of like kind of fumbling to kind of figure out what I wanted to do.
What do you think makes us lose that?
I think expectations and just like the pressure to like survive.
I mean, yeah.
Not everything that you enjoy doing is going to be profitable, right?
Yep.
But it's figuring out what are the things that you like about doing those things that you could transfer over.
That's true.
Else, right?
Everyone cannot be Bob Ross.
Right.
And have a TV show.
Right. Like I'm not going to be a watercolor artist. Like that's just A, I'm not good enough. And B, I'm just not convinced that that's going to pay the bills. But what did I enjoy about doing that? It was the challenge of trying to figure out how to do it. You know, the joy of seeing something created that wasn't there before.
I think that's a good point because I think we're in... I don't know, there's like this shift right now that's like turn everything you do and make it monetizable. I don't know if that's a word, but...
monetize it.
Yes, monetize every single thing you do. And I think it's okay to like create, maybe there is like this sacred thing that you enjoy doing like watercoloring and it's just something you enjoy doing. You're not trying to make it a thing that makes money. Yeah. So yeah. Now let's put our adult hats on. All
right, let's get serious.
What would Oprah do?
What would you say you do here?
Yeah. Okay, so marketing, branding, marketing. Some people think it's the same thing, but it's not.
No.
So from someone that has been doing marketing and has a lot of experience, could you explain the difference between the two?
Yeah, so I think, well, first of all, one supports the other and vice versa. But they are two different things. And I think of brand as the like who you are as opposed to marketing, which is the how you do business, right? So how do you drive revenue versus branding being like intrinsically, what do you stand for? How do you talk to people? What kind of experience do people have when they interact with your business? And you use marketing to build awareness for your brand and to drive sales.
Okay.
So think of it like when you ask somebody professionally, like, what do you do for a living? Yeah. Right? Well, that doesn't define them and who they are as a person. That's how they make money.
Right.
I mean, for some people maybe, but for most people, that's how they make money. It's not who they are as a person. So just like, you know, marketing, it would be kind of like their profession. Brand is who they are as a person.
I like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So do you think that a new business should start with branding or marketing first?
Generally, yes. I do think they should start with branding. I think there's a certain amount of test and learn that you have to do before you start a business to make sure that it's actually going to be a viable business. Yeah. And I don't think you have to have your branding in place to do that. Yeah. But that's like very early stages kind of stuff. Once you get past that, I do think your very next thing needs to be figuring out what your brand is. Yeah. Because that's going to drive a lot of things around, like I said, where are you going to show up? Right? Yeah. How are you going to interact with people? How are you going to talk about your business? What words are you going to use? Yeah. What visually are people going to remember about you? So think like your logo, your color palette, your fonts, your things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. One question that came to mind when you said that was, you know, the difference in a personal brand and then a business brand, right? Yeah. So you just said that a brand doesn't necessarily define the person, right? But I guess for a personal brand maybe or a business brand, there can be like a separation in the two. When we go to these business networking events, most of us are business owners and they're representing the business brand.
Yeah.
But there's a small aspect of the personal brand too, a little bit. Would you say maybe? I don't know.
Well, I think the people that you hire and who you are driving the business is a part of the brand. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, think about when you hire people for a business, like you're very intentional about the personality and the characteristics and the skills of that person.
Right.
And how they're going to represent and push your business and your brand forward. So yeah, to a certain extent, they're all kind of related.
Yeah.
And there are some people that are like solo entrepreneurs, and they are 100% driving their brand,
right,
and that's okay.
Right, that's true. Because I think for me, I struggle with, right, we have Canon Studios, the business brand, but then there's like people know Gianni, they know Gianni has Canon Studios, but they're thinking of me first. And so whenever I do go to create content, I'm like, how do I separate the two? Because I don't want everything on my personal feed or everything that I say to constantly talk about Canon Studios. So that was just a thought that, I had kind of the separation in the two. But.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always a fan of separating the two.
Yeah.
Just because at the end of the day, you want people to remember your business. Mm-hmm. They're gonna like you and they're gonna know you, but it's nice to have a little bit of separation.
Yeah. So yeah, separating the personal brand from the business brand, I think, is crucial, because you have to have a brand outside of just the business. Because, as I mentioned with Canon Studios or whatever, I don't think the company is going to stay Canon Studios forever. The name may change, but
You'll even be Gianni.
Yeah, I'll always be Gianni. I'll always have things within my personal brand that won't be attached to Canon Studios. So it's almost like treating it like another person. I don't know. However you want to call it.
Well, I mean, think of it this way. There are people who have multiple businesses.
Yeah.
That have distinct brands.
Exactly. So from your perspective, what are 3 untapped marketing strategies or tactics that small businesses often overlook?
All right. So the first one is not marketing per se, but it is understanding your financials in your business, right? So understanding what's your conversion rate on people that are leads that actually convert to sales.
Yeah.
Right? What is your total lifetime value of a potential client? How long does it take you to close a deal if you're a service-based business?
Yeah.
Right? Like, so what are some of those metrics that are going to drive your finances and your revenue? Like, if you don't know those things, you don't know how to adjust your marketing plan.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, are you running a business or are you running a hobby?
Yeah.
Because if you're not paying attention to the numbers and the financials behind it, there's a good chance you're just running a hobby.
That is true. So maybe for those that are unfamiliar with what LTV or lifetime value is, what is that?
Yeah, so it is over the span of a customer's time doing business with you, how much revenue do they generally bring in?
Okay.
Right? So if you, and that will help you understand like the types of clients that you want to bring in, and how many more clients you need to bring in to reach your goals.
Right.
And,
okay.
It also helps with understanding, things like loyalty programs. And that's one of the other things that I wanted to talk about as far as like untapped is like loyalty and referral programs. Yeah. Right? Like, how do you incentivize people?
Those still work.
They work.
Yeah.
They work. Yeah. Yeah. But if you don't understand the value of your client, like, you're not going to put emphasis on incentivizing them.
That's true.
And you're not going to know what the financial return on that incentivization. Is that a word?
We're going to make it one.
Oh, what that financial incentive is. Man, it's not a good talking day.
We will call that a word.
Yeah. I have bad hair days and I have bad talking days too.
Well, I said monetizable, and I'm pretty sure that is not a word. It's going to be one today.
Keeping it real.
Okay. So I think you named two.
Okay, yes. So the third one is email marketing.
Yes.
So I think a lot of people jump on the social bandwagon and completely overlook email marketing.
Let's dig into that because guilty.
Okay. Guilty.
Yeah.
Are you speaking to me?
You are. It's just me and you. I don't even care who's listening right now.
Yeah. So I think social is feels very accessible. It's free for most people to get on there, create a profile, and start communicating with people. And there's just a lot of hype around it. Mm-hmm. But email marketing, if you are collecting email addresses, first of all, those are warmer leads than people who are following you on social media. It means they've raised their hand and said, I want to hear from you.
Yeah.
So they value you to some degree.
Yeah.
And they convert higher at a higher rate. Emails do.
Yeah.
And so when you think of like a sales funnel, mm-hmm. there are certain marketing tactics you do that are top of the funnel activity, meaning they're more around awareness.
Okay.
Right. And as you get deeper into the funnel, the rate of conversion theoretically should be higher.
Right.
So email is not as high on top of the funnel as social media, because you're going to have a bunch of people that will follow you on social media because they like your photos, but they're not going to interact with you. Mm-mm. They're probably not going to go to your website, and they're probably not going to buy from you.
Right.
But if they have signed up for your email, then they're going to probably, most of the time, read that email, and they're going to be more likely to actually take action from that email.
Unless you spam them.
Unless you're ridiculous in your marketing strategy. Your email
That's how Bed Bath & Beyond was.
Yeah.
It's like, if you send me another 20% off coupon, listen.
And how expensive was their DMs? I mean, direct mail. Like, I felt like every few weeks I was getting something in my mailbox.
That's how I feel about Costco. But I feel like Costco has a lot more profit margin than...
Yeah.
And their clients, I feel like the audience of Costco is a little bit older.
They are, yeah.
So they probably want the flipping through.
But I don't get anything in the mail from Costco.
Because you're not older.
Oh, no, I haven't. Thank you.
Yeah, because my parents get it. And my parents get paper coupons from Kroger. I don't get paper coupons. No. Until I asked the lady at Kroger, I was like, why don't I get paper coupons? She was like, well, Kroger knows your behavior and they know you use digital coupons. Yeah. They said your parents probably don't use digital coupons, which is why they're getting... Anywho. Yeah. So, yeah, that's another testament to knowing your audience.
I get aggravated anytime I get mail from anybody. It's just one more thing I have to keep up with.
Don't send Katie Christmas cards.
Opt me out. No, I'm just kidding.
Send you a digital
I will accept cards. Okay. I will accept cards.
Okay.
Although my mom tells me I'm very, unsentimental. She can't believe that she raised me because she's a very sentimental person. But I will read a card and immediately throw it away.
You know,
what am I going to do with that? Unless you've taken the time to, actually write me a thoughtful note.
Yeah.
If you just signed your name on a Hallmark card, thank you. I mean, I appreciate it, but
I think it depends on the person, because
I don't know.
I'm kind of the same way. I'm like, this is going to sound really bad, but I'm like, don't get me, I'd almost rather you not get me a card, because I feel bad about throwing away, with the exception of my granny. My granny, she's passed away now, but I've kept every single card of hers. Yeah. Because you could see just over the years, when she was in pretty good health to when it started declining, how her handwriting changed. Yeah. And so for me, I will keep those. Everybody else's, sorry.
I mean, it's not that I don't appreciate the thought.
Me either.
In the moment, I absolutely appreciate it, and
it's what do you do with them?
But it's I can't. I don't like to harbor stuff forever. I'm just not that. I'm not wired that way. Some people don't let go of anything. I'm like, how can I clean this out? How can I streamline this?
Yes, I'm with you. I'm glad to know that we share the same
philosophy on cards.
Yeah, I just don't know the purpose.
I feel like we should have a podcast where we just talk about fun stuff. Just put it out.
Let's put a pin in that. We should. Nostalgia, fun stuff.
Yeah.
You're giving me an idea.
Or also awkward social interactions.
Because one of the things that we are starting, right? So people can come in here, and we have some people that record. This is a soft plug for Kanan Studios, and I can do that because it's mine. One of the things that's kind of on our vision board to launch to is a podcast network. And so basically that would be shows that we kind of have full control over in a sense. So getting sponsorships and monetizing it, because any podcast that's on the podcast network, we do want to turn it into a business.
So that's
So
how that works. Okay.
from what I know, and I'm only going based off of a guy that I heard that has a podcast network. So I'm sure there's a million different ways in which it can run, but essentially it's almost like a record label. So you have to be specific about the niches in which your podcast network is. So theirs is probably all crime, like true crime related, or some spin-off of that. So, you know, for us, ours would be like, okay, what are we going to focus on, and then build podcasts around around that. And so, but you know, you create, depending on what the goals are for the podcast, you are really going out there and marketing each podcast individually. You know, there might be some people that want to speak and get paid for that. And so the podcast network is helping to create this platform that then they can go and use on another platform. I mean, there's just so many different things you can do. You can get sponsors, you know, literally people that are like, hey, I have this merchandise I want to put right here, or just sponsors that are shouted out during the show, that pay for ad. I mean, there's so many different things you can do. So that's kind of one of the things that we envision ourselves doing. That's
really cool.
But I know it's a lot of detail that goes into it, and a lot of like legality things too.
Sure.
And it's, I think, just based on kind of what we've researched, because in a sense, if we're in control of everything, right? Like, what happens if there's this outside opportunity or just whatever. So that's one of the things that nobody around here I've heard is doing that. So I think it would be cool, like shows that we really believe in and that we want to, that we think would do great.
Yeah.
Creating kind of support for that. So
I think it would be super cool to have a podcast. I like the idea of it. Maybe we should talk later.
Yes.
I mean, I've always thought it would be fun to do podcasting, but I know there's more to it than just the fun. So
I would say there's a lot of podcasts. A lot of people ask me, why am I focusing on podcasts? And the true purpose behind it is there are, I think, there's like several million podcasts, right? I don't remember how many million, but there's not a lot of good podcasters.
Yeah.
And so I really have a passion. I'm not saying I'm the best podcaster, but I strive to be. And so I study it a lot. And so my goal is for that anybody that I work with, or talk to or whatever, that I help them become the best podcaster in whatever their respective fields is, because there's a lot of people out here that just have garbage podcasts.
Yeah.
Or there's a lot of people that have a lot of potential but just aren't good podcasters.
Right.
And so
so maybe they're more of the producer.
Yeah. And so I think what makes Oprah great is she has great questions.
Yeah.
She can you can ask somebody, so how did you grow up? Everybody's going to ask that. I could Google that and find it, right? But finding, like, kind of weaving and seeing, like, what's a different way that I can ask that maybe we'll get an answer out of you that's different than you would hear on XYZ. You know, just things like that. So that's truly what I'm, like, passionate about is it's the art of interviewing, essentially. Yeah. I don't know how we got that far.
We got far there.
But so recap on the 3 untapped marketing tactics for me.
So understand your financials and what's driving it. Loyalty and referral programs to incentivize your customers and clients, and email marketing. I think those are underutilized.
Yeah, things. I need to do email marketing really bad, and I feel like we could be pretty successful at it, because we have a lot of people just that we see at the business clubs that listen to the podcast. Yeah. So I think I just struggle with what content do I need to put in the email. Yeah.
Well, you guys are in a great I think any content rich kinds of businesses are great for email marketing, because you can stay in front of people on a regular basis by providing value through content more than you have to sell. Right? Like, so you want to essentially, you're priming people by providing value and information so that when you do send an email out that's like asking for a sale, they're primed and ready. They're more inclined to take action because they value what you've been giving them.
I see.
It's the concept of serve, sale. Gary Vaynerchuk has a great book on social media about that same concept.
Is it the book that's yellow? What's the...
It's the jab.
Oh, no, I don't have that one. I have
Right
another
hook
one
or
he
something.
wrote. It's in yellow. I don't remember the name of it.
I like Gary.
I do too, even with the cursing. That
Yeah.
is, to me, that is like, and this dude, another thing I like about him, he's super authentic in my opinion. I don't know him personally. He still goes to garage sales and sells stuff
yeah.
on eBay.
Oh, yeah.
I told my dad we should do
He's
that.
a scrounger. It's hilarious to me.
He's like, there's no reason why you should be making money.
Yeah.
I'm like,
he
damn it,
does
Dad, we're going to garage sale.
And he doesn't need to do it. He does it for the joy of it. It brings him personal
Yeah.
satisfaction and joy to do it. I mean, he's a multimillionaire, and he goes to garage sales to find stuff to flip.
I
cracks
told
me
my
up.
dad about it. I was like, Dad, I have a business idea. I called him like a few weeks ago. He was like, okay. My dad is usually up for whatever.
Yeah.
But he's very analytical. I'm like, we're going to go to garage sales and find stuff and then sell it on eBay. He was like, we're going to do what?
What? Come again?
He's like, why garage sales? Why can't we go to the store? And I'm like, because you can't find.
It's
like,
all about
cool
the margins, Dad.
Yeah. He's like, well, how are you going to know which garage sales to go to? And like, how do you
Yeah.
know they're going to...
Yeah.
Dad.
So the thing I like about Gary V is that, my buddy Gary V, is
Yeah.
that he's very real about it,
Yeah.
right? He's like, yes, he focuses on the financials. Like, is it a smart decision? But he's very real about it's not easy. You still have to show up and do the work and be consistent about it.
I'm going to start doing it for real. I feel like that would bring me joy. And it will also give me like a little like bit of nostalgia.
Well, I did a little eBaying a couple
You
months
did?
ago. Yeah. Because I was moving and there was stuff I wanted to get rid of.
Yeah.
I didn't want to bring with me in the move. But I didn't want to like just donate because it was nice. It was really
Yeah.
valuable stuff that
Yeah.
like I think somebody, like I had a set of dishes. I have
Yeah.
way too many linens and dishes. For some reason my mom thinks I'm hosting like massive dinner parties. And always convinces me, either buys it for me or convinces me that I need another set of dishes. So this was actually my very first set of dishes. And I had been holding on to them because they were really nice. Williams-Sonoma.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Those are timeless.
Yeah, they were beautiful, timeless, transferware, and red. Everybody likes red for kitchen and dining. So I sold them. I sold my dishes on eBay.
Did you tell your mom?
I did. She was okay with it.
Okay.
I mean, they got it for me. It was a graduation gift from college. So
Okay.
for when I like moved out on my own for real.
Okay.
So
It's impressive
They
that
were
you
old.
still had them in good shape.
oh yeah,
But they're Williams-Sonoma, so.
I'm obsessed. I am also obsessed with dishes. Like every time I see dishes that I like, I'm like, oh, I could use those. No, you couldn't. No, you couldn't. You just like them. Same thing with linens, bed linens, dining linens.
I see.
Blankets. Oh, my collection of
Blankets. Yeah, I have a lot of blankets and a
It's-
lot of coffee mugs.
Yes, I'm a big fan of mugs and water bottles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great
All
fodder
right.
for my dad to make fun of me.
You just confirmed it. I'm going
Yeah.
to a garage sale this weekend. Okay. Now you've just given me some ideas. So if you see me in person
If I show
Or
up at your
on-
garage sale.
at your garage sale, or if I ask you, do you want to be on my email list in person? Just do it.
Just do it.
Okay. Last grown-up question.
Okay.
What metrics should a business pay attention to on social, email, any type of marketing that they're doing?
Yes.
I'm most curious about, because you mentioned networking. So I think about in-person networking. Is there a metric for that?
I don't think so. I think networking is a lot of planting seeds.
Okay.
And waiting for the flowers to bloom.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to be intentional about what you do
Yeah.
in networking. So like the places you show up and how many people you're meeting. So like
Yeah.
have some objectives and goals for yourself around how many one-on-ones you're setting up with people each week, how many
Yeah.
new connections you've made. I think
Right.
those are probably metrics that are more objectives than anything, not necessarily results.
Yeah.
I think results when it comes to networking is really more around just trust. Like trust that you've planted the seeds.
Yeah.
And that something's going to come from it.
Okay.
Yeah. So as far as other metrics, like I think it completely depends on your objectives.
Okay.
And what you're like actually doing on those marketing channels.
Okay.
So like if you are you have to be aligned with your objectives and what you're measuring, right? So if you are thinking that social media is going to drive sales for you, but you're only posting about how great your brand is, and you're not actually doing sales oriented kind of posts, like those don't match, right?
Yeah.
So if you're the metrics that you're going to be looking at as far as conversions doesn't match the content that you've put out there. So
Right.
I think you have to first know what your objectives are and what you're actually doing on those platforms. But obviously, like the basics are impressions, engagement. So liked, commented, shared on social. And then email is open rate. So what percentage of people on your list actually opened your email? What percentage actually clicked on links in your email? That kind of stuff.
Okay.
It's hard to give an answer to that without being very specific.
Is there any specific metrics on a website that someone should be looking at?
Yeah.
And let's say, I don't know, let's just say it's like an e-commerce site, right? That's selling a specific product, just to get really like specific, because I can't, if I give you general information, it makes it hard. So let's just say it's someone that's selling a specific product. I guess what kind of metrics should they be looking at on their site?
So I would be looking at how many visits, unique visits you've gotten on the page where the product is.
What does that mean? Unique visits?
So not necessarily the same person coming back
Okay.
multiple times, right? Like
Got
distinct people coming to visit the page.
Okay.
How long they're staying on the page. And then how many sales have you made from that product in a time frame versus that traffic that you're seeing. Right.
Okay.
Also, I think it's really helpful to look at referring sites. So where are people coming from to get to you?
Yeah.
Hopefully you're doing your own campaigns and that's driving a lot, but it's also helpful to know if they're getting to you from some other way.
Right. That's true.
And then bounce. Well, I said bounce.
Yeah.
No, I did say bounce. Did I say bounce? I can't remember.
I think you said how long they stay on the page, but
yeah, that's bounce.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I see. So sometimes it's not always, I think a lot of times we focus on conversions, but conversions can mean so many different things. It depends on what a conversion is. Like a conversion for me could be someone opting into my email list.
Yeah.
Whereas for someone else that's selling a product, it could be someone actually buying.
Right. Yeah. It could be somebody filling out your contact form.
Yeah, that could be a
consultation.
Conversion. Yeah. And I think that's the thing we have to think about too, is also separating marketing from sales.
Yeah, but a lot of marketing, the point of marketing is to drive sales for a
That's
lot of
true.
people.
That's true, but so if someone fills out the form, right, in terms of marketing, like maybe the marketing drove them there, but we have no control over what happens.
Right.
Yes. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't get that sale, that's not on your marketing peeps.
That's right. Thank you. That
is on your
I
sales.
See where you're going with this now.
I'm like, that's on your sales people. Like, we drove the people to you. They filled out the form. They did everything you wanted to do.
We got them there.
And you called you didn't call them back, or you called them back and the person was kind of rude, or so we have no control what happens after the conversion. A marketer doesn't have control over what happens after the conversion. Mm-hmm. So
and that's an interesting conversation to have with clients.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been fun.
Yeah. I've had a good time.
So if you didn't take anything from this, you probably need to listen to this episode again, because it's packed full of information to help you get started. And then if you have gotten started or you're kind of stuck, reach out to Katie for sure. So what questions do you have for me? Do you have any questions?
Yeah. So my question was, relatively new business for you guys, right? You're now full-time in your business. What is your biggest struggle with marketing in your business?
My biggest struggle with marketing, I guess communicating to people the value of podcasting.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people view it kind of as this new thing. It's not. It's been around for a minute.
Yeah.
Pat Flynn was one of the first podcasters.
Smart passive income.
Yeah. So I think we've had just over the last several years, kind of when the pandemic hit, there's been like this big uptick in terms of podcasts coming out and then podcast listeners. And so there's just been this big boom of podcasting, and people don't truly understand the point of it. They're like, I don't get it. Like, I just talk on the microphone. It's like, well, you could legitimately make it a business. You could use it as part of your marketing strategy. So view it almost as like another marketing medium, really.
I think of it as another just way to generate content.
Yeah.
It's just another piece of content to support your marketing efforts, right? Like, instead of writing a blog article, you could have a podcast.
Yeah. And in my opinion, podcasting is the one piece of, or one, like, I guess, marketing tactic, whatever you want to call it, that has the biggest ROI. Because you can literally take, like, this podcast episode we're doing, you can create so many reels from it, so many short form videos. You can upload this entire video to YouTube. You can take certain segments out, put it in your email marketing. You can put it on social. Like, I can't think of any other type of marketing or any other, like, I don't know of anything else that you can do that's going to give you that much return on that one piece of content. Yes. So
Agreed. And in a format that's much more engaging than written word for a lot of people.
Absolutely. So that's been the hardest struggle, is getting people to understand that. And I think the reason for that is because there's so many bad podcasts.
Well, it's probably also similar to social media, right?
Yeah.
Where people feel like if somebody's skeptical about podcasting, they're probably thinking, well, everybody has something to say.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
Everybody feels like they have something to say.
Yeah.
We see them doing it on social media. How's podcasting any different?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
That's probably where it's coming from, would be my guess.
Yeah. No, you're completely right. They're just out here podcasting with no strategy. You still have to have a strategy for podcasting. Yeah. So
you should have a strategy for everything you do in your business. Like, there needs to be intention and reason.
Absolutely.
And reflection.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's probably the biggest struggle with the photography piece. Most of the time we do branding shoots and headshots. That's pretty self-explanatory. Like, oh, I'm going through a rebrand. I need some updated pictures. Or, oh, I haven't updated my headshot in 10 years. I need a new one. That's pretty easy to sell on. But podcasting is more of a long-term thing. So yeah, that's a big struggle.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
Anything else?
No.
Okay.
I'm good.
Last question. I'm going to say, imagine that you've just won a Grammy.
Okay.
Or do you want to win an Emmy?
I don't care.
Okay. Imagine that you've just won a Grammy. What would you say in your thank you speech?
I would say that I'm not particularly special, right? Like, there's nothing that I've done that nobody else has done before, probably. It's just that I kept going, and when I felt like I couldn't keep going, I had people who loved me enough to keep cheering me on, and thank you to them.
I love that. I love that. Making it not about yourself, but about the people. Well, thank you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was fun. I enjoy it.
Where can people find you if they want to contact you, reach out to you, whatever?
Well, my website.
Okay.
Kibber and Co. KIBBERANDCO.com. That's probably the best way. I have a contact form there, but you can also find me on social. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Kibber and Co.
Okay.
Send me a DM.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it has been great for this episode of the Canyon Studios podcast. Once again, here with Katie. If you didn't get anything out of this podcast, or you didn't take any notes or whatever, go and listen to it again. That's all I have to tell you.
Try again.
Yeah, try again. Thank you again. I appreciate you being here, sharing your wisdom with us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this with 5 people. I don't care if you share it on social, share it on text, however you want to share it. Share it with 5 people if you found value in this, or just share it with 5 business owners. Once again, thank you for tuning in to the Canyon Studios podcast. Until next time, I am your host, Gianni. We'll talk to you later.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.